Hello everyone, this is Simran from Premium Tutoring. Today I'll be taking you through with volume of shapes. So this is Ncea level 1. This is going to help year 11 students who would be doing the topic on measurement for this term. So we'll be going through the volume of shapes where we'll be looking at formulas, worked out examples, etc. So let's begin. First of all, you need to understand what is volume. So when you talk about volume is the amount of three-dimensional shape that an object takes up. We measure this in cubic units, so that's why you would be seeing the cube with it. The number of unit cubes that fit inside the shape. So if I have to break this down, if you're just measuring a single length, you would just be putting either centimeter or meter with that, because that is based on one dimension. On the other hand, if you were to calculate the area of a shape, you are basically calculating two dimensionals. So this is why you'd be having squared with it, or meters squared. Volume, on the other hand, this is 3D based. That's why it is cubic meters or centimeters cube. So it's basically centimeter, then centimeter squared, then centimeters cube. So that's volume. Next off, you have to understand how to go about getting the units right. So cubic units and conversions, cube and centimeters cube. So if it is cube, that's cubic millimeters rather. So that would be referring to a very tiny grain of rice, something which is very small in nature. On the other hand, if something is centimeters cube, that would be somewhat about the size of a sugar cube. However, this is also quite small in nature. Some of the basic converting cubic units. 1 centimeter cube is equivalent to 1000 millimeters or cubic millimeters cube, which is basically times 10 to the power of 3. 1 meter cube is equivalent to 1 million centimeters cube or times 100 cube. The rule on this side is very important here, which you can see on the other side. 1 centimeter cube is equivalent to 1 milliliters. This is the volume of capacity. So this is one thing which you have to know very well. 1 centimeter cube is directly equivalent to 1 ml. So if it is 1000 centimeters cube, this would be the same thing as 1000 ml. And 1000 ml is how you get 1 liter. So whatever is your answer in centimeters cube is always equivalent to milliliters. So if you're able to understand or remember this rule, it will be very easy for you to change it into liters. So always convert every measurement to the same unit before you start calculating. So this is a common mistake students they end up usually doing. They don't change everything to the same unit before they start with the actual calculation part. So that's one thing which you have to be very mindful about when you're doing maths. Now let's see the shortcut behind every prism. So we have the prism principle. So when we talk about a prism is basically a solid with the same cross section all the way through. So that's the definition for a prism. So if you're calculating the volume, this would be the cross section area multiplied with the length. The first thing you have to know is how to find the area of the flat end face, which is the cross section. So it's basically the area for the shape multiplied it with the bigger length. I always remember this with the bigger length. Once you have found the cross section part, then you just multiply the length that the shape which runs at the back. So take for instance, if you're looking at the cuboid here, the formula for the volume of a cuboid is length times width times height. So this would be the area part, multiplied it with the height which runs at the back. So it's length times width times height. So if you refer to this slide here, we have an example which has been provided where you're calculating it for a rectangular prism, which is also known as a cuboid. So formula you can see on the screen, that's length times width times height. So take for instance, we have a box which is measuring 8 centimeters long, 5 centimeters wide, and 4 centimeters high. So that's length, width, and height. Simply by multiplying the three, you'd be able to obtain the volume of that shape. So you'll do 8 times 5, which is 40, times 4, which is 160. Since it is volume, it would have cuboid. Oh, sorry, cubic. This sometimes, usually what the questions would be, they will say change this volume to milliliters or change it to liters. You have to remember the rule which was previously mentioned in the previous slide. 1 centimeter cube is directly equivalent to 1 ml. So whatever is the answer in centimeters cube would be the same thing in ml as well. So if you're able to remember this much, it becomes very easy for you to change it to liters later on. So that's about rectangular prism, which is also known as a cuboid. Right, so then we have many other shapes. Should you need more help, or if you're very much interested in learning about volume, you can always get in touch with us through Premium Tutoring, and we'll be very happy to take you through with this. So thank you so much once again for listening in. Make sure to share our video or follow us for more tutorial videos. Thank you so much.